Okay, I didn't want this to be a Harry Meghan channel, and it is not a Harry Meghan channel, but I've got to do this, guys, because as you know, a lot of my channel started out with sign readings and then it went into royal family stuff. And I have no choice now but to comment on this and to tell a little bit about my intuitions in a fun, sarcastic way like I do. And also to pick a card after so we can end this video nicely. So the title, Backlash Against the Two Karens, cough, Harry, Meghan, and their wine fest is because I had a while to process the interview. Hi, Nicole. I was trying to be as unbiased as possible, unlike what some weirdo thought that commented on it saying, we know you don't like Meghan. It's like, shut the hell up. But I was trying to be as unbiased as possible, which is why I stuck up for her when it came to the race thing and the mental health thing, topics I'm not going to go on in this video. The race one I'll mention a little bit, but it's going to be for a different reason. Not saying racism's okay, but to mention the family in correlation to that. The alleged claim. But in case nobody knows what a Karen is something that started an internet language, and it was originally used to describe an obnoxious white woman where the image was come off of from like John and Kate plus 8, you know, with like short hair. And she says, I need to speak to the manager, you know, and then it evolved into this term to talk about any obnoxious, particularly white woman. Now it's used for any woman or obnoxious person who has to constantly whine and complain about their life, though they're privileged in some way. And so it's disregarding race, actually, now the way it's even used. But originally it was meant to talk about a white woman who bitches and complains in her privilege to managers and things like that and gets people in trouble. That was a Karen. So now it's used to describe anybody who uses privilege and bitches and whines, mostly women, but I like to use it for men too, because men do it too, not just women. So Harry and Meghan, after I've had a chance to process this interview, I've had a chance to think about it. And I was trying to be as unbiased as possible, but I don't have to be unbiased because I'm not a computer. I was just doing it to be nice and fair. Now I'm going to just tell it like it is. They're Karens. This was ridiculous. And if you know my channel, I play devil's advocate. I go back and forth whenever it comes to the royals or other celebrities. And I've made a lot of defense videos for her before, primarily about the claims that she's a gold digger, because that still stands. I don't think women should be called gold diggers because men sex dig a lot more than women ever gold dig. Let's just be real here. So I am not going to call women gold diggers. This is not the reason why I'm sick of these people. Not just her, him too. The two of them. Whatever you want to call them. Tweedledee and Tweedle whatever. Tweedle narcissist and Tweedledee. Whatever you want to call them. These two are some of the most privileged, entitled, obnoxious, cry me a river people I have ever seen in my life going on national television. Oh, poor me. Cry me a river. Shut up, Karen. And that goes to both of them. Because really, the reason they're receiving this backlash and not the empathy they were expecting, maybe they still have some followers who love them, who are so brainwashed by wanting to be Meghan that they can't see the forest through the trees, that this was ridiculous, insulting, non-empathetic for people who claim to want to support people dealing with mental illness, to come out right here, right now, at this moment in history, talking about, oh, poor me. I am so sad because we didn't know how we'd be able to afford our security. What was the situation? This was a situation of wanting to be recognized, wanting to make a change, but frustrating everybody in the process. Look at us up here on our ivory tower, right? We ran away and we went over to our ivory tower. But, you know, we want to go forward and make a new change, and we want that protection. But we felt so stuck right here. We didn't know what to do. This world, whether you believe in the pandemic or not, I do believe it's real, but I think there's some details surrounding it that have been exaggerated. let's just be real. I have a relative who's an ICU nurse. There's people who have died from it. The pandemic's real. I'm not going to sit here and debate whether it's real. How severe it is in how many states and how many countries to the level they've said, that could be debatable. Were all the restrictions necessary? That could also be debatable. But is it real? It's real, okay? I know people who have seen people die of it, and some really healthy who got very sick. Didn't die, but got super, super sick in ICU. So that I'm not debating. However, this world has just gone through a pandemic for over a year now. Our lives have been turned upside down. There's documentaries out right now. There's one on Vice you can watch of somebody, literally this woman, who is afraid to go get another job because she lost her job. Because if she goes to her other job, she could get COVID and die because she has asthma, and nobody could watch her kids because she's an immigrant and she has all these kids here by herself. And she's about to be evicted. That's the kind of shit that people are going through right now. And by the way, this was a woman of color. So don't come at me, anybody who says, well, Meghan's claims and stuff like that. I don't want to hear it. This is a woman of color dealing with this, a real woman who is dealing with a low economic situation, who really has something to talk about. Not somebody who's going to sit there with her husband and say, we need help. We need financial help, and we didn't know what we were going to do. And he is just guilty, going to sit there and say, well, we're lucky that we had that money left to us so we could live in our millions and millions dollar mansion. Like they couldn't get an upper middle class house, I don't know, worth like $300,000 and just have all that extra money to pay for security and that. What's wrong with that? They didn't want to be, they said they didn't want to be part of that firm anymore. They didn't want that lifestyle. So is that not good enough for them? It's good enough for us. A lot of us would love that. I'm sure that woman with all of those children would love that, who's struggling to pay rent, is going to be evicted because of COVID. I'm sure she just loved to hear about cry me a river. We didn't get enough funding and daddy cut us off because we left. Yes, her racial claims, I'm not going to sit there and question that and say, oh, she's lying about that, because, what I will say about that is we've all kind of knew that this family has a history of imperialism and not only being racially divided, but colorist. I said this in the other video, where they didn't even want to shake other people's hands who were white because they thought that they were beneath them. Diana started a movement where they were more loving and touchy with people, because she was just that type of person. She was an empath. You have a family who had a history of this, and you're going to sit there and say you were surprised? You were surprised? I'm not discrediting what she said, that it's not true as far as the racial thing goes. I'm not trying to say that. That's her experience. But don't tell us you were surprised. Don't tell us you were surprised. And the number one thing that turns me off about this interview, where Piers Morgan in this situation did have every right to say what he said, and I'll call a spade in this. And yes, I made defense videos about her clothes, the way she looks, that I think she does have good style. That still stands. I wasn't lying about that, and I'm not lying about it now. And I made defense videos to try to look on the bright side. You can learn how to achieve your dreams like Meghan, because she, let's face it, out of all those people, she married a prince. If that's what you want, that's not what I personally want. That's what you want, something like that, like something you thought was impossible. You can learn something from her and Kate. I made positive videos about her before, but I am also going to make videos when I've seen something is enough is enough. And I know people like that I comment on the royals on my channel, because I know a lot about the family. I can actually talk without looking things up about them, because I've always been obsessed with royalty and throughout history and all the crazy things they've done. So I know about them. But this is just so insensitive for the two of them to come out when they're at their 9 of wands at the top of the ivory tower, right? Figuratively. And they're looking down at the peons and the 5 of pentacles. And you're telling us that we should feel empathy for you because you thought you were going to be, or you were cut off from allegedly Daddy Prince Charles's money. And thank God we got the millions left by my mommy, because now we can live in our millions and millions dollar mansion while you peons are all evicted. They didn't say that, but that is what it implies to people, or how people interpret it and feel. It's not that they said that. It's how people feel when they see somebody talking like that about their situation in such dire straits that this world is in right now. And yeah, they're two Karens, because what does Karen do? Karen complains when Karen has privilege. And Karen doesn't just mean white privilege anymore. Karen means all types of privilege. And these two, what privilege they have in common is economic privilege. So I'm done with that. Me, feel sorry for me because of what situation I'm in. There will not be any more passes made for that type of behavior. And I never really made any to begin with. I just am not the type of woman, because I'm not insecure in the way I look, that sits there shredding apart the way people look or talking about her clothes and her face, some stupid shit. Like, oh, come on, don't talk about the way another woman looks. It's very low and it makes you look insecure. I don't do that. But when two people, male or female, want to sit there talking about pity me for my money and my sake and blah, 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 and I didn't know how I could afford security. Well, maybe if you didn't buy a millions and millions of dollar mansion, you'd be able to more than afford it with the money that your mom left you. Why did you need to worry about that? I mean, let's be real. It's because they're used to a certain lifestyle that is good enough for them, but not everybody else. And they wanted to maintain it. And we're supposed to feel sorry for them. That's what it is. So it is what it is. And the reach that they wanted us, they were reaching when they wanted us to feel some type of way, like, oh, you know, we're supposed to believe that during a global pandemic where there are tons of people evicted, where there are people who lost people, who died, where there are people who are putting their lives at risk just by going to work, that their life was so hard. If anything, this was very poor timing. If anything, this was just a grab for attention, quite frankly, because nobody was talking about them. Didn't you all notice that? Nobody was talking about them. Nobody cared. So what was the point of hearing this? What was the point of coming out with this now, except for attention? And yeah, they got their attention because I'm talking about it now. I'm talking about it now. I don't care that I'm giving them attention. My channel had a lot of royal videos on it before, so it is relevant to my channel if you watch my older videos. And quite frankly, they wanted their attention. They got their attention. And so it is what it is, good or bad. So little Miss Smug, narcissistic tendency, should stop complaining when people like Piers Morgan have something opposite to say what she thinks, because she got the attention. If you can't take good attention with bad attention, then don't try to get attention. She could have just lived peacefully with him. That's what they were doing. And they could have just let it die. Like, this is what the palace does. They don't comment. They let it die. If in this scenario they had just let it die, they would have been living perfectly peacefully. They would have been set free. The Queen of Wands would have been set free and towards the light, right? 8 of Wands, going towards the light, towards a positive future. But they had to stir things up with the Queen of Swords. And now there is a bunch of people circling around them. And what was partially the motivation for that? Oh, you got it. You guessed it. Because it's a money-making machine. It's not just about, woe is me, I want to tell my truth. And yes, they said at the beginning of the interview, we were not paid for this interview. But don't you think that this is going to generate more press and more attention and thus more money because of it? I mean, that's a no-brainer for anybody who can think critically. So all I can say is that actually in this particular situation, and I was one who actually made videos against Piers Morgan in the past. You can check in the history of my videos if I didn't make those private. I'll go through them and see if I can make them all public again, because I made some of them private because I just didn't want my channel to be all themed on that. But I have to comment on this. And I have a lot of people emailing me asking me, please, because you know about royals. I trust what you say more. So I'm doing it. And plus, I just feel so annoyed with it. I want to talk about it. But I was a person who talked against Piers and said he was a big crying baby before, blah, blah, blah. He had a crush on her, all this other stuff. He probably did, allegedly. But This situation, he's right. He's right about the situation. How insensitive, how ridiculous that they went out and said this. And then she allegedly calls up his bosses. So nobody can say anything against this woman. She thinks she's not even that she thinks she's the queen. She thinks she's above the queen because the queen doesn't even say anything. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. The self-centeredness of this person. It's amazing. It's almost like how it's kind of in the same energy as the way the Kardashians act, actually. And see, so they're totally different than her. They do the same damn thing. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe people would say that about me, but I can say anything about anybody else. It's like, God forbid anybody has an opinion. It's not like he called her terrible names and cursed her out. No, he called a spade like I'm doing right now. He said, basically, to paraphrase, allegedly, because I can't say this is fact because I'm not reading his words word for word. It was basically like, cry me a river, woe is me. This is an insensitive time to be saying this, which is what I'm saying. And a lot of other people are saying this. A lot of other people of all backgrounds, by the way. Not just because I don't want people to start saying, oh, it's only white people. No, it's not. Because I've gotten emails from people. I've seen YouTube channels. No, it's not. There's a lot of people who have turned on them now because of this. And quite frankly, I'm not somebody who was ever fully on that side, but I was actually more over on that side, believe it or not. I was more in support of them. I was more in support of at least her ambitions being okay, because I don't think women should be condemned for doing that stuff. But just with this, I mean, I don't care how she decided to get to Harry. That doesn't bother me. I don't care that she wanted the fame and fortune. That's fine too. Because like I said, men, what they have in common, 9 chances out of 10 heterosexual men, is that they have sex in common. And that's their main motivator. So a woman having security and financial stability as her main motivator, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. However, what I do think is wrong is being a hypocrite and going on TV and saying, woe is me, when the whole world has been suffering for over a year and we're supposed to hear that. That's what I think is wrong, very insensitive and very tone deaf in the atmosphere we're living in right now. So I'm going to go through my comments really quickly, and then I'm going to pull out a few cards, and I'll do pick a card, 1, 2, or 3. But that's all I really have to say about that. I'm not going to go too much into detail further because that's just my synopsis of the whole thing. And it was before I even saw what Piers said and the rest of the world starting to say things, Sharon Osbourne, that I already started forming this opinion. I have a best friend who actually loved her, and now can't stand her because of this. So it really backfired. Let's just keep it real. And I was never on the love train, but I was never on I don't hate people I don't know, nor do I make judgment calls about like some of the things I used to see online about the way she looks. Like, come on. I don't do any of that shit. However, I'm a critical thinker. My friend, on the other hand, loved her, like was in love with them as a couple. And she's totally, now, it's not even, but anyway, I'm going to read the comments. At least Wallace and Edward kept their mouths shut. Yes, Joanna. They could have stayed in Canada and had the privacy they actually want. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying every person should live in like a regular 2-story, $300,000 home or whatever, or 500,000 or something like that. But they could. They wouldn't be homeless. They're making it seem like they're like this woman I was talking about on Vice who is facing homelessness with a bunch of kids, no man to support or help, and no ability to get a job because she has asthma and she's scared of getting COVID and dying. I mean, that's crazy that we have documentaries like that, but we're supposed to feel sorry for their financial situation. So Nicole Z, I agree with you. Yes, Joanna, there are issues, real issues there, Meghan and Harry. The Queen's response was classy, Nicole, of course, because that's how the palace has always done things. I don't think at 90-something she would ever veer from that. I just also, too, the timing with that, with Philip being in the hospital, I mean, it's like, what were they thinking? I know this was taped earlier, but even releasing it at this time, too. Joe, okay, she wanted this global Princess Diana moment. Yes, she did. problem with that is that it's never been processed like Princess Diana, because the difference is that Princess Diana went into that family as it has nothing to do with the way they look. The racism part does. The racism was different because, yes, she is biracial. And even though to a lot of white people I've spoken to, they didn't even know she was mixed. Some white people, as soon as they find that out, or other people of other races who are also racist, they will start using racial remarks. That part was different than with Diana. But the thing that also was different between them is that Meghan knew what she was doing. She is, I think she's 3 years older than me. I don't remember, or 4 years. She's a little older than me, but she's my generation. She watched Princess Diana when she was younger. Well, she's not my generation, but I'm on the cusp of Generation X, but I'm a millennial. I'm an old millennial. She's X, but she's a young Generation X, so whatever. She's close to my generation, same thing. She grew up watching Princess Diana. She went into that family knowing what she was doing. She went into that family knowing who she was, and she claims, that's another thing I mentioned in the other video, I didn't know who they were. And she said on the first interview, which I let slide actually, I was like, well, she's just playing the game. She's pretending. It's obvious what she's doing, but I don't hate her for it. You know, she got the bag. She got hers. Whatever. I don't care. I thought that was actually kind of clever of her. But to do this again and then to talk about how, oh, woe is me, we're so poor, that was enough for me. I was like, no, you're going to talk about that during COVID and people getting evicted. But the difference between her and Princess Diana is the way they started in the family. She, yes, as I said, the way they look is different. That's a different issue altogether, and I mentioned that. But if you're just talking about their ages and where they are in life, she grew up with them. She knows them. She knows what they're all about. Don't tell me that you didn't know what they're about. You do. Diana was a virgin and 19 years old. You don't know shit at that age. And let's just be honest, I'm in my masculine energy right now. That's why I'm very telling it like it is and just putting it right into the point. So you don't know anything. I'm going to stop swearing so much. It's not very ladylike. You don't know anything when you are 19 years old. I don't care how mature you think the person is. I don't care how mature even you think a 22-year-old is. You don't. Your brain is not psychologically developed till you're 25. Okay? So this is like a child, basically, just legally an adult. That doesn't make you an adult. Going into the family, virgin on top of it, and you know sexuality actually affects the whole way you think after you have sex for the first time. Didn't ever have a sexual experience, probably didn't even have a serious boyfriend, didn't know what the hell she was doing. So when Diana said things in an interview, it sounded a little bit more credible when she said, I didn't know what I was getting into, right? I didn't know that this family was like that. But to hear a 40-something-year-old woman who got married to him when she was 37, 38, doesn't really matter, it's around the same age. Now she's in her 40s, and to say, I didn't know how they were, I was very naive. It's like, honey, the Princess Diana thing does not work with you because you didn't marry when you were 19, 20 years old and a virgin. You already had a whole divorce and another life before this. That naive thing does not work. It doesn't work anymore. It's like laughable. It's like, I'm not going to use that at my age. I'm not going to sit there and say, I didn't know. It doesn't work anymore after a certain point. It just doesn't work. Now, it may work in personal situations when you're only interacting with people who are 20, 30 years older than you, maybe then, but she's not only interacting with people 20, 30 years older than her who consider her young just because of the age difference, not her chronological age. It doesn't work doing that to the world. It doesn't work doing that in an interview like that. And that's the major difference between the two of them and why she couldn't have her Diana moment. Because the major difference is the age they joined, the experience they had, and the claims she's making that she didn't know. Also, the timing of it as well. It's because it's in COVID and all this stuff that's happened to people financially just makes the two of them look ridiculous. And he looks ridiculous. Like, I can't even. I should go into the astrology of those two again because I'm a Virgo, by the way, and he's a Virgo. She's a Leo, and I know that dynamic. I know exactly why that dynamic is the way it is. It's easy to fact check what they said. Archie was not denied a prince title. Annabella, people are turning more and more against them. Nicole, that's exactly what's happening. I'm not going to keep making too many videos about this, but I wanted to say what I processed about this after the fact. You are absolutely right. Their complaints were so ridiculous. Katya, Nicole Ford, I knew from the engagement that she would be turmoil to the royal family. Yeah, I knew too. I just like to stick up for her, and when people kept calling her a gold digger, and with her clothes and her looks, because I thought that was kind of mean. But the other stuff, I knew she was going to be trouble. I just didn't want to go into it. But yes, you're correct, Nicole. It's like, oh my gosh, it took a while, but I think COVID delayed that, the blow up stuff. Karen, how long ago was this taped, do you think? I don't know. It looks like maybe can't be too long ago, because it seems like they were waiting to tape it after COVID stuff started settling, but I still don't think it was settled enough to even do this, nor was it necessary because nobody was bothering them. She played out Diana's interview, Marie. Yeah, it seems like she tried to go after that example. Black, no, pink, right. Chuck, mint, she must have been channeling Wallace. Yeah. I mean, I really do feel like they're Anne Boleyn and Henry VIII reincarnated, but that's just me. That's what I think that they are, the two of them together. And instead of Harry being the controlling one in this lifetime, it's payback, and she's the controlling one now. Because a lot of times that's how it happens. When you reincarnate with another soul, you switch roles according to that, or you play out the same roles for a while until you switch. I think what's happened is he's the submissive one, and she's the dominant one, when we all know Henry VIII was the big dominant one, and all those wives were submissive to him during that time period. That's what's happened. She's the masculine energy. She looks very feminine. I'm not talking about the way she looks, but her spiritual energy is masculine. She's a Leo. His spiritual energy is feminine. He's a Virgo. Okay. They have switched. They've switched their energies. And men, you know, act way more like their sun sign than they do their moon sign. She's a Libra. So he's going to be 100% a Virgo, but she's more like Leo Libra. She is a week younger than me, and I never give any attention to the royal family, and I absolutely knew who all of them were. Trisha. The powerful underdog tarot, she said she never searched them. Okay, honey, that's bull right there. Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, it's like, stop it. Like, you're just making yourself look bad now. Like, in the first engagement interview, honestly, it was cute because I knew what she was doing. I was like, well, I know what you're doing. You know, get the bag, whatever. I'm not going to hate on another woman for that. I'm just not, because I'm awakened to this paradigm that's shit, telling women, oh, you shouldn't do that and do 50-50 and blah, 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 you know, but it's okay for men to just want sex right away. I'm awakened to that whole paradigm. I have a video about that on Patreon, and I'm not making apologies for that anymore. And I'm going to wake other people up to it too. Love it or hate it, doesn't matter. Don't follow me then. But I'm awakened to that. So I was like, good for you. You're doing what you have to do. But to keep repeating the same story and repeating that and then talking about how you guys don't have money, I mean, no, stop. That's what I just kept thinking, like, stop. The powerful underdog tarot. I'm so naive. I fell on my husband and ended up with 2 kids. Ha ha. Yeah, I know. Choco Mint, I would say she studied the Diana Panorama interview beforehand. Yeah, it seems like that. Nicole Z, yes, astrology video. Renell, none of it matters. It's a distraction. It is a ruse. Yes, it is. I've been trying to figure out what this is distracting from, though. I mean, obviously, we know the Andrew stuff, but I think there's something else going on here, and I've got to investigate this more. I've been doing research actually all day trying to freaking figure it out, and I was going to make a video on my Patreon about that. Because I can't do that stuff on YouTube because, you know, they like to mess with people's channels on here. So I wish that Oprah had asked about the fake pregnancy bump, her defiance of dress protocol, and her losing palace aides, Nicole Ford. Yeah, Oprah was very easy on her. The powerful underdog, they want to take down the royal family. Yeah. It's kind of sad, though. I mean, he couldn't have at least waited till Philip was better. Those are his grandparents. He should feel kind of ashamed of himself, honestly. I mean, the reason I'm talking mostly about her is because she talked most of the interview, but he should feel ashamed of himself. He should feel ashamed of himself. I bet you he does inside. He's not saying anything. I bet you he does. Secrets and lies, the moon. Trying to gain a sense of stability and plan for the future. Bring stability to the family. I think that that's the royals back in the UK doing that. So I'm going to give you a quick description if you haven't watched my channel before. If you have and you like hearing this, I am going to try to do more I'm going to try to do more astrology stuff, because that was what I started with before I even did tarot. I've been doing astrology for a long time, so I can do really good explanations of that. But let's just talk real quick about a Virgo man and a Leo woman and what that means anyway. I mean, sure, there's couples, I'm sure, where a Leo man and a Virgo woman, or a Virgo man and a Leo woman get together and they get along fine. But I'll tell you, as a Virgo, what happens in this dynamic when it becomes toxic. And I love you. If you're any Leos watching, don't take this the hard way. And obviously Virgos don't, because I am a Virgo. So why would I insult us like without being able to take it, right? But I'm going to go into why this dynamic is probably partially unhealthy as well if you're a dark side Virgo or a dark side Leo, because there's high functioning and low functioning versions of every sign. It's like saying people who say, oh, I hate Geminis. You know, I almost knocked over my lamp. I hate Geminis. You know, I can't stand being around them. I hate all of them. That's ridiculous. That sign always gets a bad rap anyway, because people seem to hate them for whatever reason. There's dark side and light side of every sign is what I'm trying to say. So Leo and Virgo have good and bad like everybody else does. So if you're talking about a low functioning Leo or low functioning Virgo, Virgos tend to be overly critical and demanding, bossy, and nitpicky. Also, though, if they're with a more dominant partner in their negative, they can actually be too submissive, the opposite, too submissive, too giving, too like a martyr, like just walk all over me, and too supportive of people that don't need to be supported anymore. So, because the reason for that is because Virgo is represented by virgin, which didn't mean no sex. It used to mean like a woman unto herself, a woman who does things on her own, the archetype of a woman who does things on her own. So it is a feminine sign, but there's a very strong masculine side to the over-analytical, intellectual energy of Virgo. But when you have a Virgo who's in their dark side, Virgo also alternatively represents the servant. So the catchphrase for Virgo is I serve, but the catchphrase for Leo is I shine. So if you have somebody who's too much into the servile energy, so Harry's not really into his dark side energy of being bossy and demanding. I would say I go into that dark side energy more. Harry seems like when he's with Meghan, he goes into the servile energy of the dark side. So, because we all have light and dark, like I said, nobody's always the light side of their sign. And so what he's manifesting right now is this, whatever Meghan wants, Meghan gets. Yes, Meghan. Yes, Meghan. He's a yes man. And Meghan, the I shine, let me tell you, I have had so many Leos in my life. I never seriously dated one, but they always like me for some reason. I don't know, because they piss me off after a while. No offense to any Leos watching, because I like Leo females. And most Leos who watch channel are women anyway. I have a very good male friend. I know his wife as well, who is a Leo. And he has narcissistic tendencies. But as you all know, if you know narcissists, if you're their favorite person, they're always nice to you, but they treat everybody else like shit. So anyway, me, him, and his daughter and his wife always got treated nice, but everybody else got treated like shit. So I've seen narcissistic Leos in action. And I'm not saying that's what she is. It's not my place to say that, but I would say there's probably some tendencies there or behaviors of self-centeredness. Let's just call it that, because I don't really want to go into the narcissist route right now. But Leos have a tendency to have a very self-centered nature in their dark energy, and it's all about me. Pay attention to me, do what I say, do it when I say it, do it how I say it, and that's it. And there will be a few people who I will praise and adore and lavish all that praise on, and you're always in your golden, palace seat, and everybody else I can step on. That's what it is, basically. So if you put a servant, right, when Virgo goes into its dark side energy, it's either a demanding bitch or bastard, or it's a servant. So if you're the servant dark side energy of Virgo and you're going with the king or queen who's like, bow down to me or else, you're just going to be like this submissive little, yes, okay. And if you don't act like that, it's like goodbye to you. Who cares about you? Or you're going to see, the lion roar. So this is where the two of them are kind of working it out, I guess, because he's probably just submitted. Basically, he's submitted. And she is just dominating. So that's how their relationship works out. And yes, Virgo is more of a feminine. I don't looks. Feminine energy and personality. Leo is masculine in personality, right? And sometimes you can have both. You could look feminine, be feminine, or you could look masculine, be masculine, or you could have one or the other. You could shave your head and, you know, read books all day. And I said this on my Patreon, paint pictures and play the flute and write poetry and cry and be open with your emotions. And even if your head's shaved and you wear jeans every day, that's still feminine energy because of what your essence you're putting forth into the world. It's not all about looks. People always mess that up. But yeah, very masculine energy that comes from that level of ambition and me, and I want it this way. Masculine energy. Feminine energy. I'm just going to support everything and not say anything and except to agree and do what they say, you know. So basically in the negative energy, a pushover is a Virgo, pushover. And Leo is like a dominatrix or a dominator, basically. And I don't mean that in like the sexual sense. I meant that in like a dominating the way people act. The powerful underdog. My dad is a Leo and he loves attention, but he is very dependent. Yeah, they are very dependent because they're dependent on what people think of them because their ego. Oh, Cancer. One of the catchphrases for Cancer is I mother, I nurture. And that's also Virgo. Virgo and Cancers are the mothers and nurturers, but Cancer is the mother. Virgo's like the secondary mother because they're I serve, you know, I give, I take care of. But Cancer is the mother. I mother that. Or I recoil and I hide because they go into their shell. What do you think of the future of the English royal family? Do you think the public will support them more or less? Evie. I think they'll support. That's hard to say. I have a feeling they're going to support them more or just as much. I actually don't think they're going to lose mass support because the Queen has been around so long. She's done so much good for the country. I feel like she's pretty much got Wheel of Fortune, good luck with her country. She's going to have a new beginning with them again. She has had many new beginnings throughout her reign. And I think this is just going to be a bit of a burden she carries for a little bit, but I don't think she's going to pass on with having a bad memory. I don't think that's going to happen. Marty, I agree with your Leo Virgo analysis. Yes, they always try to dominate us Virgos. And sometimes it's like if you have a Virgo who doesn't want to do that, they're like, nope, I'm going to tell you about yourself. And then the Leo's like, shut up. And that's what happens. It's so funny. It's like, you know it all. You think you know everybody about everything, you stupid Virgo. Don't tell me about myself. I can't handle it. And then the Virgo's like, I'm a pain in the ass that likes to say everything about people. The powerful underdog tarot. I'm from England and lots of people are turning on the Queen. I think that that's going to be temporary if it happens. I don't think it's going to be like when she passes on, it's going to be a bad memory of her though. Shockman. I am a Virgo and have always found Leos to be self-centered. Megs brings out the negative side of the Leo. Yeah. I mean, and they're not all like that. I do have a relative who's a Leo who's really giving and generous and a great husband to his wife. So when they're good, they're very, very good. When they're bad, they're horrid. It's kind of like that. Like Scorpios are like that too. It's extreme with them, those signs. I'm not sure if, I think Leo is a fixed sign. That might have something to do with it because I know Scorpio is. Eccentricity. What do you think of Piers Morgan and calling out Meghan? I mentioned that. I wasn't in support of him earlier when he was just being catty. Like, I feel like earlier when he called her a phony and you really just want something out of the family, I felt like saying, well, yeah. And So do most guys who go out with a woman, they want something out of that women don't all readily want right away. Like some women do, but most women, I would say no, not as much. And we're talking about sex. So I don't have a problem with a woman wanting to better herself, even if it's like she thinks she deserves marrying a prince. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And it seemed like he thought he was kind of putting her in her place before when she first came out, like with Harry, like, you uppity girl, who do you think you are? I didn't like that when he did that. But now it's like he's just calling it out for, you did this at a bad time. This was insensitive to the world. And I fully agree with that. So he doesn't really deserve the backlash he's getting now. I can always change my opinion. It's like, who says that? I want to give her credit because this is somebody I heard this quote from. Who the heck says that? I'm a woman. I can change my opinion anytime I want. Wendy Williams says that. I used to watch her show, and she always says on her show, I'm a woman. I can change my opinion about people. So I took her line. That's what she says. Karen, my son is a Cancer. He is not the mother's side. Well, maybe as he gets older, he will, though. I don't know how old he is. Some people have to grow into the way they act. Or maybe he just mothers himself. What happens when the queen passes away? They may turn on Charles. Trisha. Yeah, that's a possibility, especially because they came out on the news and they said it's not Philip or the queen who made the racial remark. So now everybody's thinking, who could that be then? So it's like a process of elimination. They're trying to figure out who allegedly said that. The queen still has a lot of support. I believe she will. Yeah, she's done too much for the country and she's been too much of a figure too long for her not. Pam, I am a Cancer. She's a phony day, a liar, phony, and a liar. I don't have a good feeling that Meghan and Harry will end well, but put good friends and stay two separate. Nicole. Yeah, unfortunately. I worry about Meghan as much as I just like her. I worry she will be Princess Diana. You know, I thought of that too, Pam, but I don't think they're going to be bold enough to do that again for some. I just don't think they will, especially because it's the grandson that got married to her, because grandparents always love their grandchildren so much. I don't know. I don't think she'd do that. I don't think that the queen would allow something like a Diana to be done to Meghan, if you catch my drift. I can't say that like on the channel too in depth, but if you know what I mean by do a Diana on her. I don't think that she would allow that to happen just because she's the wife of her grandchild. And I think Harry was her favorite grandchild. So this is kind of unfortunate. I would say I would worry if they're not married anymore, maybe, but as long as they're married. Pam J, I have a bad feeling about it. There's always a way. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen. I mean, we don't want to wish anything like that on somebody. I hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, just the two of them, very short-sighted with that. And unfortunately, it's disappointing to the two of them, the reception they're receiving now. Three of Swords is heartbroken. It's like they expected this applause and everybody to embrace them, but that's not what's happening. So it is what it is. If you guys are interested on the Patreon, I'm going to do an astrology chart about Kate Middleton. That was one of the things I promised before this whole Oprah interview even came out. I had this as the menu for this month for all of the readings I was doing this month. And now because this thing came out, I didn't even know about the Oprah interview until recently because I haven't been reading about the royals. I'm going to incorporate her astrology chart into the stuff that Meghan said allegedly happened and see where their personalities might clash and why that happened between them, with the argument about the flower girl dresses and how they're different, why they would have fought, what Kate's dark side energy is with Meghan's dark side energy and why they clashed. I didn't really ever do too many videos about those in the past because I never felt like their main conflict in that family was them. It was always Harry and William, which I was right about because I did a video a long time ago saying the real fight was with the brothers, and the tabloids came out with that afterwards. But the whole thing with Harry and William was much more pronounced, what I read energetically off of them, the conflict. But with the girls, or the women, it was always just kind of a little tit for tat thing, but I don't ever think they've really had a huge problem. But because Meghan mentioned it in the interview, I'll do something on Kate's astrology chart talking about why they would have had a conflict. And they are very opposite people. So I can read that clearly just looking at their charts. The thing that they have in common is ambition, though, actually. And that's an interesting thing because both of them married princes. They just have a different style of doing it. But Capricorns and Leos are very ambitious for different reasons, but they are very ambitious. It could be Charles or William. I would not put anything past those two. Yeah, I don't want to, I don't really even know. It could be, I mean, yeah, it doesn't really leave too many people left because how many conversations would they have had with Andrew or somebody? You know, it only leaves like William and Charles left because I don't think Kate would even probably be in those kinds of conversations because she's not even blood part of the family. Like she's an in-law that married in. So it'd probably be like a blood relative. It seems like more. I feel for her in a way, but I don't believe what she says. The powerful underdog tarot. I think that's what's happened, Tarot. I think that's what's happened with people now. Like, I just couldn't believe that they were saying these things like when we have COVID and it's not even all over yet. Was this about getting revenge because they were cut off financially? I'm summarizing what you said, Trisha. That's a good point. What about Camilla? I don't know. I just, maybe Camilla too, with that conversation about the alleged conversation about the skin color. Who knows who it could be? Camilla, Charles, William, who knows? I think it's less likely to be Kate or Camilla just because they married into the family. I don't know. I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like people who would have that discussion would be people who are more comfortable in the family, like they're actually related, not married in. Because if I were to think of somebody saying something like that to me, and about now, and I'm trying to think of who would say something like that. I don't think it would be a person who married into a family. I feel like it would be a person who's actually blood related, saying it to the other blood related person. That's just my conjecture, though. Ms. English T, she said she didn't make Kate cry. It was the opposite. Yes, I know. I wanted to go into their personalities and why they clashed. I'm not really going into who made who cry, but why did they, because they did have a clash regardless of who did it. Why did they clash personality wise? That's what I'll talk about with the Astro chart on Patreon. I did a spread. He said it before they got married. The powerful underdog tarot. I'd be careful about, I don't know if you have a channel, but I'd be careful about saying that as absolutes on your channel, though. You should be careful about that. You never know who's watching. If it was said, Philip would say something stupid like that. Pam J. Well, Harry did say that it wasn't Philip or Elizabeth. That's the thing. It eliminates them from the conjecture of who it is. If you remember, Meghan was accepted and people were excited for her. I think it was at the backlash, spending more money, stuff problems, fake pregnancy, and she got depressed because she saw people turning on her. Well, she was accepted by some people. I wouldn't say everybody accepted her, though. I would say maybe most people, not all. The powerful underdog tarot. Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean by saying that, but it's just in case, because you never know. I actually had somebody give my stuff to a French news station before, so that's why I advise you'd be surprised. I mean, I have enough subscribers to be known where you can just Google my name, but I don't have so many that I would expect it to be on French news, but I was on French news. So you have to be careful because you don't know how they might just show one clip of you saying, well, it was him. And then it's like, oh boy. Or make sure you have legal stuff copied underneath every single video, like entertainment only, not fact. Don't use my advice to make big decisions. It's to cover your ass. Oh, nothing really happened to me. I don't know if you're responding to what I said. I'm saying they put it on French news. It wasn't anything bad I said that they cropped. It was like, it just made me look. What it did is it portrayed me in a negative light. It didn't misinterpret anything I said. It misinterpreted the motivation for my channel. It like put me, from what I understand, on the French news station, and I couldn't get the clip. I would have showed it on my videos to make fun of it for you guys. You could see they like cropped some stuff of what I said, like that I don't take the royal seriously and I don't give a damn about them, but I do it for you guys. And it said obsessed royal fan. It made me look like a crazy, like I love them, like it was saying, like I'm obsessed. I'm hanging out at Buckingham Palace and I'm sleeping out there waiting, like those crazy stalker fans. It was making me look like that. But I don't even go over to the UK. I've been there once. But it's not like a thing where I'm that obsessed with them. But yeah, that's what actually happened. It wasn't anything they necessarily changed what I said, or misinterpreted. They misinterpreted the energy of what I'm saying, like the purpose of the channel, or the videos I do. Like, she loves the royals. She's obsessed with them. Watch out for her. It's like, not really. It's just entertaining to me. So legal stuff underneath the videos helps, and not to say things absolutely like it definitely was this person, because you never know who watches and uses the clips for things. I really feel sorry for them and wish them the best, but I felt like she was untruthful with most, not all, but most of the things that were said. Yeah, Ms. English Tea, that's how I felt too. Yeah, it's kind of sad. I was hoping that they just go away, honestly. I mean, now I have more stuff to talk about, but I figured I'd talk about them again. I got so many emails saying, please talk about it. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be a pain in the ass and say, I don't do royal stuff ever again. I'm like, okay, I'll do some. I don't mind. I just don't want to do too many like I was before, because I feel like that was making me very stressed. The energy around them is very stressful. And frustrating. You see, 7 of Wands, frustrating. Okay, so let's just pull out a few cards about the situation. How is the situation being received by the world right now with Harry and Meghan? Oh, I have bad posture. Because I'm leaning forward to read the comments. Okay. So how it's being received by the world is a mixture. So people are trying to, okay. So people feel like there's some kind of missing piece to the story. Half of the people are basically like, we're done with them. Frustrated, ending, death card. We're done. Goodbye. And the other half of the people are like, oh, I feel so sorry for you. I love you, the Sun. So it just depends on who's thinking what. So I would say it's like half-half actually, but they did get a backlash where it was actually like more people were in support of them than not, that they had expected, because I think what happened is the press spun it out so big it made it look like more people hate them than do. And so what happened with this now is more people shifted to the other side, but they still have a lot of supporters. So they're worried now how they're being received, and they're hoping that they can create something better, the Fountain. But they're very overwhelmed with all these different ideas as to what to do. And they're trying to use their intuition on that to make a new beginning. Okay. So was this fully truthful, this interview? Oh, look what we got, the eye roll. That's like my thumbnail on the video. It's like, was it fully truthful? Ace of Swords talks about speaking your truth. Speaking your truth and being set free for the Queen of Wands. And then the Tower collapsing around you. I'm going to do a spread because I feel like this is not answering it. And feeling fulfillment. So I feel like this is how she feels. She feels like she spoke her truth. She feels like it was truthful for her, and she feels set free to an extent, but worried. Okay, so Celtic cross spread. Okay, so heart of the situation is the Devil. Crowning the situation is the Two of Wands. Supporting the situation is the Eight of Cups. Behind the situation is the Sun and the Ace of Cups. In front of the situation is the Five of Cups and the Two of Pentacles. That's the future. And then the theme of the situation is the Strength card and Judgment. So I think she's facing some karma. I think some of this is karma for past stuff, past energy, because regardless if I agree or disagree, if somebody wants to be hypergamous, or I agree or disagree if somebody wants to be hypergamous to be a woman, or I agree and disagree if somebody wants to only be interested in sex as a man, there's still karmic results from that behavior. So whether or not I agree with it or you agree with it, there are karmic results from the behavior, always. So, and karma has a lot to do with us believing in it, though. And most people, because they believe in karma, they get karma. That ties into the law of attraction. So I'm assuming she believes in karma. Harry believes in karma, but they're receiving karma now, but they just don't want to believe that this is their karma, is what I feel from this. So Judgment talks about karma. We have the Strength card, that is Leo. At the heart of the situation, we have the Devil. We have worry, comparison, fear, lust, greed, addiction. I feel like this is the addiction to the fame or the spotlight, feeling at a crossroads. What should we do? Should we go forward or walk away? And so they decided to go forward. In the past, they felt in love, like they have the sun. This is them getting together. And in the future, I see somebody drowning and grasping at straws and feeling a big loss. So unfortunately, and feeling trapped and wanting to be released from the trap, wanting to gain some peace with their family. So there you have it. The future doesn't look like such a good placement for the King of Pentacles. You see that? Just that said right after I got finished with the sentence, it doesn't look like a good placement for King of Pentacles came out. That's Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, pain, backstabbed, downtrodden. Doing the tarot on these two is very heavy. It's easier just to talk about the astrology of them, but people use tarot differently. Some people use intuition, others use books. I use all kinds of things. Sometimes I just say things. Sometimes I use a pendulum. Sometimes I use oracle cards. It's whatever